In a busy Nigerian town where the sun rises hot and the streets are always full of noise, there lived a boy named Emeka. He was 12 years old, with bright eyes and a smile that could light up any room. But Emeka's life was not easy. His father had died when he was just 7, leaving his mother to raise him alone. Emeka's mother sold roasted plantain by the roadside. Every morning, before the sun came up, she would wake up and start her fire. The smoke would fill the air as she roasted the plantains until they were golden brown. She worked hard, very hard, but the money she made was barely enough to feed them and pay for Emeka's school fees. Emeka understood his mother's struggle. He saw how her hands shook when she counted the money at the end of each day. He saw how she would skip meals just to make sure he had food in his stomach. So even though he was just a boy, Emeka decided to help. Every day after school, Emeka would run straight to the motor park, the place where buses and taxis waited, to carry passengers to different towns. The motor park was always noisy. Drivers shouted, "Lagos, Lagos," one seat remaining. Conductors hung from bus doors, calling out destinations. The smell of gasoline, mixed with roasted corn and suya, filled the air. This was where Emeka worked. He became a bus conductor's assistant. His job was simple but tiring. He would help passengers with their bags, squeezing heavy suitcases into the tight boot of the bus. He would call out destinations with the older conductors, his young voice trying to be heard above the noise. "Onisha, Onisha, fast bus," he would shout, waving his hands to attract passengers. Some passengers felt sorry for him. "This small boy should be playing football, not walking like this," they would whisper. But Emeka didn't mind. Every evening, he would collect his small pay, sometimes 200 naira, sometimes 300, and he would run home with joy to give it to his mother. His mother would hold the money, look at her son, and tears would fill her eyes. "Thank you, my son," she would say. "But please, never let this hard life make you forget your values. Always be honest. Always do what is right, even when nobody is watching." Emeka would nod. "Yes, Mama, I will always be honest." But Emeka didn't know that very soon his mother's words would be tested in a way he never imagined. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The sun was extremely hot, the kind of heat that makes your shirt stick to your back. Emeka had just helped a woman with 3 big bags onto a bus heading to Enugu. The woman was in a hurry and barely looked at him as she entered the bus. The bus drove off in a cloud of dust. Emeka turned to go back to his spot when something caught his eye. On the ground, half hidden under an old newspaper, was a black leather bag. Emeka picked it up. It was heavy. His heart began to beat faster. He looked around, but the woman's bus had already disappeared down the road. The motor park was busy as always. Nobody had noticed him find the bag. He walked to a quiet corner, away from the noise and the crowd. His hands were shaking as he slowly opened the zip. And then he froze. Inside the bag was more money than he had ever seen in his entire life. Bundles and bundles of crisp naira notes. They were neatly arranged, held together with rubber bands. Emeka's eyes grew wide. He quickly counted it in his head. There must be at least 1 million naira, maybe even more. For a moment, Emeka couldn't breathe. His mind started racing. With this money, his mother would never have to wake up before dawn again. They could buy a new house. He could buy new school uniforms, new shoes. They could eat meat every day, not just on Sundays. His mother could finally rest. He zipped the bag closed and held it tightly against his chest. His heart was pounding so hard. He thought it would jump out. Then, like a whisper in his ear, he heard his mother's voice. "Always be honest. Always do what is right, even when nobody is watching." Emeka sat down on an old cement block, the bag on his lap. Around him, life continued as normal. Buses came and went. Passengers argued about prices. Conductors laughed and joked. But in Emeka's heart, there was a war. One voice in his head said, "Keep it. Nobody saw you. The woman is already gone. She probably doesn't even need this money. Rich people lose things all the time. But you need this money. Your mother needs this money." But another voice, quieter but stronger, said, You know this is wrong. You know this is wrong. This money is not yours. Someone is crying right now because they lost it. How will you feel if someone finds your mother's money and keeps it? Do the right thing, Emeka. The boy sat there for almost 30 minutes, just thinking. People walked past him, but he didn't see them. The sun burned down on him, but he didn't feel it. In his mind, he could see two different futures. In one future, he kept the money. He and his mother lived comfortably. But every time he touched that money, he would remember that it wasn't his. Every time he bought something with it, he would feel a small pain in his heart. And what if people found out? What if his mother found out? The disappointment in her eyes would kill him. In the other future, he returned the money. Life would still be hard. His mother would still wake up early to roast plantain. He would still work at the motor park. But he would be able to sleep at night. He would be able to look at his mother without shame. He would be able to look at himself in the mirror. Finally, Emeka stood up. His decision was made. He asked the other conductors if they knew the woman. One of them remembered her. That woman, yes, she's a trader, big-time businesswoman. She was going to Enugu to pay for goods. That woman must be very worried now. Emeka's hands gripped the bag tighter. He knew what he had to do. Before we continue with Emeka's story, let me ask you something. What would you do if you were in Emeka's position? Would you keep the money or return it? Think about it. And while you're thinking, if you're enjoying this story, please take a second to hit that subscribe button. We share powerful African stories every week here on When Africa Speaks. Stories that teach us, inspire us, and remind us of our values. Also, drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between what was easy and what was right? I want to hear your stories. Now, let's see what Emeka decided to do. Emeka took the bag to the motor park manager, an old man called Baba Musa. Baba Musa had a reputation for being fair and honest. He was the one who settled disputes between drivers and passengers. When Emeka explained what happened, Baba Musa's eyes widened. He opened the bag, counted the money, and shook his head in disbelief. My boy, he said, there is 3,200,000 naira here. Do you know what this means? This kind of money can change your life forever. I know, sir, Emeka replied quietly, but it's not my money. Baba Musa stared at the boy for a long time. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. In all my years working here, I have never met a boy like you. Sit down, we will find this woman. They called the phone number that was written on a business card inside the bag. The woman answered immediately. Hello, please did someone find my bag? Please, I beg you in the name of God. Her voice was shaking. She was crying. In the background, they could hear other people trying to comfort her. Madam, calm down, Baba Musa said. Your bag is here. A young boy found it and brought it to me. Everything is intact. There was silence on the phone. Then the woman started crying even harder, but this time with joy. Thank you, Jesus, thank you. Please, sir, I'm coming back right now. Please don't let that boy leave. I want to see him. I want to thank him. 2 hours later, a big jeep pulled into the motor park. The woman stepped out, her eyes red from crying. Behind her was a tall man in an expensive agbada, traditional Nigerian clothing that rich people wear. The woman ran to Emeka and hugged him tight. She was crying and thanking God in Igbo. Wam, my child, Wam, my child, you have saved me. That money was not even mine. It belongs to my business partners. If I had lost it, they would have thought I stole it. They would have taken me to the police. You have saved my life. The tall man stepped forward. He looked at Emeka with curious eyes. Young man, what is your name? Emeka, sir. Emeka, I am Chief Okoro. This woman is my sister. Tell me, why did you return this money? You could have kept it. You could have run away. Nobody would have known. Emeka looked down at his dusty shoes. My mother always tells me to be honest, even when nobody is watching. She says a good name is better than riches. I was tempted, sir. I wanted to keep it, but I knew it would be wrong. Chief Okoro was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, a big warm smile. Your mother is a wise woman, and you, my boy, you are very special. Chief Okoro reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. This is a small reward for your honesty, 20,000 naira. Emeka's eyes went wide. 20,000 naira! That was more money than he had ever held in his life. But Chief Okoro wasn't finished. He pulled out a business card. Emeka, how old are you? 12, sir. And you work here after school to help your mother? Yes, sir. Chief Okoro nodded slowly, as if he was thinking deeply about something. Listen to me carefully, Emeka. From today, you don't have to work here anymore. I will pay for all your school fees, everything, books, uniforms, transport, everything. And when you finish secondary school, if you work hard, I will send you to university. Emeka couldn't believe what he was hearing. He looked at Baba Musa to make sure this was real. Baba Musa was wiping tears from his eyes and nodding. But sir, Emeka stammered. Why? Why would you do this for me? Chief Okoro bent down, so he was at eye level with the boy. Because, Emeka, in this world today, it is very hard to find people with integrity. Many people are only interested in money. They lie, they cheat, they steal. But you chose to do the right thing, even when it cost you everything. That kind of character is rare. That kind of character is worth investing in. I don't just want to reward you, Emeka. I want to make sure that boys and girls like you become the leaders of tomorrow. That evening, when Emeka reached home with the envelope of money and the news of his scholarship, his mother dropped the plantain she was roasting. She held her son and cried for almost an hour. Thank you, God, she kept saying. Thank you for giving me a good son. Thank you for showing me that honesty still pays. The years that followed were not easy, but they were good. Emeka studied very hard every night. He read his books by candlelight when there was no electricity. He woke up early every morning to study before school. He remembered the sacrifice Chief Okoro had made for him, and he was determined not to waste the opportunity. In secondary school, Emeka was always among the top 3 students in his class. His teachers loved him because he was not just intelligent, he was also kind and humble. He helped students who were struggling with their studies. He never looked down on anyone. Chief Okoro kept his promise. He paid for everything. But more than that, he became like a father to Emeka. He would visit Emeka's school to check on his progress. He would take him to his office during holidays and teach him about business and life. Emeka, Chief Okoro would say, being educated is not just about passing exams. It's about becoming a better person. It's about having wisdom. Remember why I chose to help you. It was because of your character. Never lose that. No matter how successful you become, always remain honest. Emeka never forgot those words. When it was time for university, Emeka scored very high marks in his exams. He got admission to study civil engineering, building roads, bridges, and houses. Chief Okoro was there on his first day of university, proud as any father would be. University was challenging. The courses were difficult. Many of his classmates came from rich homes and had cars and expensive phones. But Emeka didn't feel jealous. He was grateful for what he had. He focused on his studies and graduated as one of the best students in his class. On his graduation day, when Emeka walked across the stage to receive his certificate, Chief Okoro stood in the crowd with tears running down his face. The honest little boy from the motor park was now Emeka the engineer. After graduation, Emeka started working for Chief Okoro's construction company. He earned a good salary. He moved his mother from their small room to a nice house. Finally, she didn't have to wake up at dawn to roast plantain anymore. But Emeka never forgot where he came from. Every month, he would drive to the motor park where he used to work. He would give money to young conductors and bus assistants who were struggling just like he once did. He would pay school fees for children whose parents couldn't afford it. Then, Emeka did something even bigger. He started a foundation called the Honest Path Foundation. The foundation helped poor children go to school. But he didn't just give money, he taught them about integrity, honesty, and hard work. Whenever Emeka gave a speech at schools or community gatherings, he always told his story. I didn't become successful because I found a bag of money and kept it, he would say. I became successful because I returned it. Success built on honesty lasts forever. Success built on lies will collapse. His story spread throughout the town, then throughout the state, and eventually throughout the country. Parents will tell their children, be like Emeka. Teachers would use his story as an example in moral classes. He became a symbol of integrity. In a place where dishonesty was becoming normal. Even his mother's small plantain business grew, not because she needed it anymore, but because people from far and near would come just to meet the mother of the honest boy. They wanted to shake her hand and hear her wisdom. One cool evening, many years after that fateful day at the motor park, Emeka sat with his mother outside their beautiful new home. The sky was painted gold and orange as the sun set, the sweet smell of roasted corn drifting through the air from a nearby street vendor. His mother looked at him, her eyes shining with tears of joy. You see, my son, she said softly, honesty does not feed you fast, but it feeds you forever. Emeka smiled and held his mother's hand. You were right, Mama. A good name truly is better than riches. And so in that small Nigerian town, the story of the boy who returned a bag of money became legendary. It was told again and again, in schools, in churches, in homes. It became a lesson for both the young and the old, a reminder that doing the right thing may not bring quick rewards, but it will always bring lasting peace. Sometimes, honesty will not pay you today, but it will open doors that no lie can ever close. In a world full of shortcuts and quick fixes, Emeka chose the long road, the honest road, and that made all the difference. When Africa speaks, it tells stories like this one, stories that remind us who we are and what we can still become. If this story touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family. Hit that like button, drop a comment below, tell me what you learned from Emeka's story, and subscribe to When Africa Speaks. For more inspiring stories, remember your character is your destiny. Choose honesty. Choose integrity. Choose the long road. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may you always walk the path of truth.